The sun beat down on the asphalt as a line of roaring motorcycles pulled into a remote gas station, their engines snarling like wolves. Inside, a fiery debate was brewing. Maya, a fierce, articulate activist with a knack for confronting bigotry, stood her ground against a group of rough-and-tumble bikers who had just insulted a passerby. Their leather jackets bore symbols of rebellion, but Maya's sharp wit and defiance lit a match that would ignite a standoff neither side could ever forget. The gas station sat quietly under the afternoon sun, its lot empty save for a few scattered cars. Maya leaned against her vehicle, scrolling through her phone while waiting for the pump to finish. She relished these rare moments of quiet, though her thoughts lingered on the protests she'd been organizing. Confrontation wasn't something she sought, but it often found her. A low rumble broke the silence. Maya looked up as 5 motorcycles rolled into the station, their engines growling like predators marking their territory. The bikers dismounted, their leather jackets bearing faded patches. Their leader, a burly man with a salt-and-pepper beard, surveyed the lot with an air of dominance. His crew followed, laughing loudly as they moved toward the convenience store. Maya paid them little mind until she caught the exchange. "Hey, sweetheart," one biker hollered to a young woman exiting the store with groceries. "Looking a little too woke for a place like this? This is real America." The woman froze, her face reddening, and quickened her pace toward her car. The bikers erupted into laughter, their voices echoing across the lot. Their leader smirked but stayed silent. Maya felt her chest tighten. She hated bullies, especially those who disguised cruelty as humor. Before she realized it, she was walking toward them. "Excuse me," she called out, her voice cutting through their laughter. The bikers turned to her, their amusement fading. "What's so funny?" The leader raised an eyebrow, clearly intrigued. "And who are you?" "Maya," she replied, folding her arms. "And you?" "Jack," he said, stepping closer. "What's it to you?" "It's everything to me when grown men think it's okay to harass someone just trying to get home," she snapped. The bikers exchanged glances, their smirks giving way to unease. Jack, however, seemed amused. He tilted his head as if sizing her up. "You've got guts," he said, his voice low. "But you're outnumbered. Maybe think twice before picking a fight." "I'm not picking a fight," Maya shot back. "I'm calling out behavior that has no place in decent society." One biker muttered under his breath, "Another woke warrior." Maya ignored him, keeping her eyes on Jack. "Do you really think bullying someone makes you strong? It doesn't. It just makes you a coward." Jack's smirk faltered before returning. He stepped closer, his towering frame casting a shadow over her. "You've got a lot to say for someone standing alone." "I'm never alone when I'm standing for what's right," she said firmly. The air grew tense, onlookers pausing to watch. Some began recording the exchange on their phones. After a long pause, Jack chuckled and stepped back. "All right, Maya," he said. "You've made your point, but don't think this is over." He turned to his crew, gesturing for them to head inside. Maya stayed rooted, her pulse racing. This wasn't over. It was just the beginning. The gas station buzzed with tension long after the bikers disappeared into the store. Maya stood by her car, pretending to scroll through her phone, but her mind raced. The confrontation replayed in her head, each word sticking like barbs. Something about this group felt dangerous. She could feel the stares of onlookers, some admiring, others uneasy. Inside, Jack leaned on the counter, arms crossed. His crew laughed by the fridges, but his mind was elsewhere. Maya's words still echoed, sharp and deliberate. She hadn't backed down, not even a little. "Boss, you're just going to let her talk to us like that?" Liam asked, twisting open a soda. Jack smirked faintly. "She's just blowing off steam. Let it go." "Let it go. She called us cowards," Liam muttered, his tone edged with frustration. Jack's gaze snapped to him, sharp. "I said drop it." His voice left no room for argument. Liam grumbled but backed off. Back outside, Maya's pulse quickened as the store door swung open. Jack emerged first, his boots heavy on the pavement. His crew followed, their steps slower, their gazes flickering between their leader and the woman who had stood up to them. Jack's eyes locked onto hers, calm but piercing. "You've got guts," he said, his voice low and deliberate. "But guts don't mean much without backup." Maya didn't flinch. "I don't need backup to stand for what's right." Jack's smirk returned, faint but edged with something darker. He leaned in slightly. "Brave words," he said, "but brave doesn't always mean smart." The air between them felt charged, the kind of tension that drew eyes and held breaths. A few onlookers held up their phones, recording the standoff silently. Jack finally turned to his crew, motioning with a sharp nod. "Let's ride," he ordered. Engines roared as the bikers mounted their bikes, their growls filling the air. Most followed without a word, but Liam hesitated. His gaze lingered on Maya before muttering, "Next time." The threat hung heavy as he sped off. As the bikers disappeared, the oppressive weight of their presence began to lift. The older man in the flannel shirt, leaning on his truck, approached her. His face held a mix of admiration and concern. "That was brave," he said, "but those guys don't let things go easy." Maya turned to him, her voice steady despite the knot in her stomach. "I'm not afraid of them." "Fear's not the issue," he replied, grave. "It's what they'll do with theirs. People like that don't play by the rules." Maya nodded, glancing toward the empty road. She wasn't naive. She knew she'd poke the bear. But silence wasn't an option. If no one else would stand up, she had to. The gas station returned to its deceptive quiet. Maya stood rooted, knowing the storm wasn't over. It had only just begun. Maya spent the evening trying to shake off the gas station encounter, but it lingered. At her kitchen table, her laptop hummed softly as she scrolled through social media. A notification popped up. A video of her standoff with the bikers had gone viral. She clicked the link, her stomach twisting. The shaky footage showed Jack towering over her while she stood firm. The caption read, "Woman confronts biker gang. Courage or recklessness?" Comments poured in, some praising her, others calling her foolish. Her name wasn't mentioned, but it wouldn't take long for someone to identify her. A knock at the door startled her. Heart pounding, she peeked through the peephole. A young man in a leather jacket stood outside, hands in his pockets. "Who is it?" she called, keeping her voice steady. "Liam," he replied. The name sent a chill down her spine. She unlocked the door but left the chain on, opening it slightly. "What do you want?" she asked sharply. "I came alone," Liam said quickly. "I'm not here to cause trouble." Maya studied him before unlatching the chain. She opened the door wider, her guard up. "You've got 2 minutes." Liam shifted uncomfortably. "I didn't agree with what happened today. Jack doesn't speak for all of us. I wanted to apologize." Her eyes narrowed. "Why? What's your angle?" "No angle," he insisted. "I'm tired of the way Jack runs things. It's not who I am." Maya crossed her arms. "And showing up here is your solution?" "I don't know," he admitted. "But I wanted you to know not all of us are like him." After a pause, she stepped aside. "Come in. But if this is a setup—" "It's not," he said, stepping inside. He glanced around her apartment, his nervous energy palpable. "Sit," she ordered, pointing to the couch. "Talk." Liam sat, his hands clasped tightly. "I joined the crew because I wanted a family. Jack made it seem like we'd always have each other's backs. But it's not like that. It's all about control. Today, I realized I've had enough." Maya watched him closely. "So, what do you want from me?" "Advice? Maybe just someone to listen," he said, frustration edging his voice. "If you're serious about leaving, it won't be easy," Maya said. "Men like Jack don't let go without a fight." "I know," Liam said. But I'm done living like this." His conviction surprised her. For the first time, Maya felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe this wasn't just a random clash of ideals. Maybe it was the start of something bigger. "You'll have to make hard choices," Maya said. "If you're serious, be ready for what comes next." "I am," he replied. "I just needed someone to say it out loud." As Liam left, Maya locked the door and leaned against it, her mind racing. She didn't trust him fully, but his sincerity was hard to ignore. She had faced men like Jack before, men who thrived on control and fear. Now she had an unlikely ally. Outside, Liam walked to his motorcycle parked discreetly down the street. He glanced back at her building before riding off into the night. For the first time, he felt like he was finally making a choice of his own. Liam rode away from Maya's apartment, the night air biting at his face. Relief mixed with fear. Jack wouldn't take betrayal lightly. Every mile he put between himself and the crew felt like a ticking clock. As he rode, he thought back to how it all started. 5 years ago, Liam had been lost, working dead-end jobs, unsure of where his life was going. Then he met Jack, a magnetic presence who seemed to have all the answers. Jack promised brotherhood, loyalty, and purpose. For someone who had grown up in a fractured home, it was exactly what Liam had been looking for. At first, life in the crew was everything Jack had promised. They rode together, shared meals, and had each other's backs. But it didn't take long for Liam to see the cracks. Jack's brotherhood wasn't about loyalty. It was about control. Dissent wasn't tolerated, and trust was replaced with fear. The camaraderie that had drawn Liam in soon felt like a trap. Liam pulled into the driveway of his small rental house and cut the engine. Sitting in silence, he tightened his grip on the handlebars. Inside, the house greeted him with its usual mess: beer cans on the counter, laundry on the couch, and scattered motorcycle parts. It was nothing like Maya's neat apartment. He sighed, feeling the weight of the life he was living versus the one he wanted. His phone buzzed, breaking the silence. Jack's name lit up the screen, and Liam's stomach tightened. He hesitated before answering. "You disappeared after the ride," Jack said, his tone casual but sharp. "Everything okay?" "Yeah, just needed some air," Liam lied, trying to sound nonchalant. Jack paused, the silence heavy. "You're not getting soft, are you?" "No," Liam replied quickly. "Good," Jack said, his tone hardening. "We've got business tomorrow. Don't make me regret trusting you." The call ended, leaving Liam rattled. Jack didn't trust him, not fully, and Liam wasn't sure how much longer he could keep up the act. The next day, the crew gathered at their usual spot, a rundown garage on the edge of town. Jack was there, leaning against his bike with a cigarette in hand. His sharp eyes scanned the group as they arrived. "All right, listen up," Jack said, crushing his cigarette under his boot. "That woman from the gas station, she's got people talking." Liam's stomach dropped, though he kept his expression neutral. "She's a nobody," one biker scoffed. "Why does it matter?" Jack's gaze hardened. "Because nobodies can become somebodies if we let them, and I'm not about to let some woke hero make fools of us." The crew murmured agreement. Liam stayed silent, his heart racing. "What's the plan?" another biker asked. Jack smirked. "We remind her who she's dealing with. A little fear goes a long way." Liam felt panic surge. He had to warn Maya, but how? If Jack suspected anything, Liam would be next on his list. As the crew began to disperse, Liam pretended to check his bike, stalling until he was alone. Pulling out his phone, he hesitated only for a moment before dialing. "Maya," he said when she answered, his voice low and urgent. "It's Liam. We need to talk. Now." Maya paced her living room, phone pressed to her ear. Liam's voice on the other end was tense. "They're planning something," he said. "Jack's not letting this go." Maya's stomach churned. "What kind of something?" "I don't know," Liam admitted, "but I can't stall them much longer. Jack's furious. They think you made fools of them." Maya glanced out her window, half expecting motorcycles roaring down her street. "Why are you telling me this? If Jack finds out—" "I know what happens," Liam cut in, "but I can't watch him do this. You don't deserve it. I had to warn you." Maya pressed her fingers to her temple. "How do I know this isn't a trap?" Liam's frustration crackled through the phone. "If it were, why warn you? I just let Jack handle it. I'm trying to help." The sincerity in his voice gave her pause. "What do you suggest?" "Lay low," Liam said. "Stay out of sight until I know what Jack's planning." "Hide?" Maya snapped. "I don't hide, Liam. That's not who I am." "This isn't about pride," Liam shot back. "It's about staying alive. Jack doesn't just scare people. He destroys them." Maya fell silent. She'd faced threats before, but something about Jack felt different. Calculated, relentless. "Fine," she said finally, "but I'm not sitting around forever. If Jack wants a fight, I'll be ready." Liam sighed. "Just don't do anything reckless. I'll update you." The call ended, leaving Maya alone with her thoughts. She paced, torn between trusting Liam and keeping her guard up. Letting the wrong person in could cost her everything. Later, a knock at her door startled her. She approached cautiously and peered through the peephole. To her relief, it was Anna, her best friend. Maya quickly unlocked the door. "Anna, you scared me." Anna stepped inside, worry etched on her face. "I saw the video. Are you okay? What's going on?" Maya hesitated, then explained everything. Jack, the confrontation, and Liam's warning. Anna listened intently. "And you trust him?" Anna asked. "I don't know," Maya admitted. "But if he's telling the truth, I can't ignore it." Anna folded her arms. "You need a plan, Maya. If Jack's coming, you can't handle this alone." Maya nodded. "You're right, I need to be ready." The two spent the next hour brainstorming. By the time Anna left, Maya felt a little more prepared, though the anxiety lingered. Meanwhile, Liam was at the garage, blending into the shadows as Jack and the crew plotted. "She won't see it coming," one biker said, grinning. Jack smirked. "Let's see how brave she is when the odds aren't in her favor." Liam's fists clenched, every instinct screaming at him to intervene. But he couldn't act yet, not without risking everything. He needed more information before he could help Maya. As the night dragged on, Liam made his decision. He wasn't just going to warn Maya, he was going to stand by her. For the first time in years, he felt like he was fighting for something that mattered. The sound of distant engines jolted Maya awake. She sat up, heart pounding, and strained her ears. The noise faded, leaving her in silence. It wasn't the first time she'd startled awake since Liam's call. Anxiety gnawed at her, but she refused to let it take control. Her phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. Maya grabbed it and checked the screen, a message from Liam. "They're moving tonight. I don't know the exact plan, but it's happening. Be ready." Her chest tightened. Tonight. She stared at the screen, her thoughts racing. Anna's words echoed in her mind. You need a plan. But what plan could prepare her for Jack's crew? Maya paced the kitchen. Calling the police seemed futile. What would she even report? She had no proof, just Liam's warnings. Instead, she grabbed a baseball bat from the closet and set it by the door. It wasn't much, but it was better than nothing. She double-checked every lock, her pulse quickening. Hours passed in oppressive silence. Maya sat by the window staring into the dark street. The faint glow of streetlights cast long shadows. She hated waiting. It made her feel powerless. Her phone buzzed again. Liam was calling. "They're on the move," he said, his voice urgent. "Jack's sending guys to scare you. You need to leave." Maya gripped the phone tightly. "And go where? I'm not running." "Maya, this isn't a game," Liam snapped. "These guys don't make empty threats. You need to get out." "No," she said firmly. "I'm not letting them chase me out of my home." Liam cursed. Then let me come over. I can help. Maya hesitated, distrust tugging at her, but the fear in his voice sounded genuine. Fine, she said, but come alone. I'm alone, he promised. I'll be there soon. Maya ended the call and paced the living room, her nerves fraying. Every sound outside made her flinch. Every shadow seemed alive. Finally, she heard the rumble of a motorcycle. Peering through the peephole, she saw Liam on the porch, glancing nervously over his shoulder. She opened the door just enough to let him in, then locked it behind him. They're coming, Liam said. I overheard them. They think scaring you will make you back down, but Jack doesn't know when to stop. If this goes wrong, it won't just be a warning. Maya set the bat down, her hands trembling. What do we do? Liam ran a hand through his hair. You're not leaving, so we need to show them you're ready to fight. If they see you won't back down, maybe they'll think twice. And if they don't? Maya asked. Liam didn't answer. The next few hours were a blur. Liam moved furniture to block windows and check the locks. Maya gathered makeshift weapons, a wrench, a heavy flashlight. It felt desperate, but better than nothing. By dawn, the house felt like a fortress. Maya stood by the window, exhausted but alert. Liam slumped on the couch, his face drawn. Do you think this will work? Maya asked. Liam looked up, his expression grim. I don't know, but we don't have a choice. As the first rays of sunlight crept into the room, Maya felt the weight of the night settle over her. This wasn't over. If anything, it was just beginning. The first rays of dawn lit Maya's living room, but the tension remained heavy. Liam sat on the couch, head in hands, while Maya stood by the window gripping her bat. Exhaustion weighed on them both, but neither could relax. They should have shown up by now, Liam muttered. Something's off. Maya didn't reply. Her eyes scanned the silent street. Every second felt like an eternity. Her phone buzzed suddenly, making both of them jump. Maya grabbed it. It was a text from Anna. Are you okay? Heard something's happening. Call me. Maya typed back. Can't talk. We'll update later. They might be watching, Liam said, waiting to see if you'll run. Let them, Maya replied. I'm not going anywhere. Before Liam could respond, the faint roar of engines broke the silence. Both froze. The sound grew louder, closer. Liam moved to the window, peeking through the curtain. They're here, he whispered. Maya tightened her grip on the bat. How many? 3, maybe 4, Liam said. Jack's not with them. Good, Maya said. Let's deal with them. Liam turned alarmed. Are you serious? You can't fight them. We have to make them think twice, Maya replied. If we show weakness, Jack will never stop. The engines cut off. Heavy boots thudded on the pavement. Maya could hear mocking voices. One banged on the door. Hey, sweetheart. Got a big mouth? Let's chat. Maya's jaw clenched. Liam grabbed her arm. Maya, don't. She pulled free and stepped to the door. I'm not hiding. Liam cursed under his breath but followed. Maya cracked the door just enough to face the bikers, her bat visible in her hand. 3 men stood on her porch, smirking. One, tall, with a crooked nose, grinned. Cute, he said, nodding at the bat. What are you going to do with that? Whatever I have to, Maya replied. The man chuckled but stopped when Liam appeared behind her. Liam? What the hell are you doing here? Backing her up, Liam said evenly. The biker's grin faded. You've got nerve. Jack's gonna lose it when he hears this. Let him, Liam said, stepping forward. This ends here. You tell Jack if he comes after her, he'll go through me. The bikers exchanged uneasy glances. They hadn't expected resistance, especially from one of their own. Fine, the leader said after a pause. But this isn't over. Jack's not gonna like this. Maya didn't lower the bat until the bikers rode off. When the engines faded, she turned to Liam. That was reckless, she said. So was opening the door, Liam shot back. They stood in silence, adrenaline coursing through them. Finally, Maya leaned the bat against the wall. "Thank you," she said quietly. Liam nodded. "This isn't over. Jack won't back down." "I know," Maya replied, "but now he knows I won't either." As the sun climbed higher, the tension in the room eased, but they both knew the fight was far from over. The biker's departure left a heavy silence. Liam paced the living room while Maya sat at the table, gripping an untouched cup of coffee. "Jack's not going to take this lightly," Liam said. "Those guys will run straight back to him, and when he hears I stood up to them." He trailed off, shaking his head. Maya's gaze was steady. "Then he'll know we're not afraid." Liam stopped pacing. "Jack thrives on fear. Standing up to him makes us both targets." "So, what do we do?" Maya asked. "Run. Hide." "No," Liam said, "but we need a plan. Jack's power comes from loyalty, but it's built on fear. If we show his crew they don't have to be afraid, we can break his hold." "How?" Maya asked. Liam hesitated. "We need proof, something that exposes him. If I dig around, I might find something." Before Maya could respond, her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen and froze. It was a video message. Heart-pounding, she opened it. The shaky footage showed a dark room. A man's voice spoke, low and menacing. "Maya," the voice said, "you've made your point. You're brave. But bravery doesn't win wars. It gets you killed. Walk away and we'll let this go. Keep pushing and we'll push back harder." The video ended, leaving the room in silence. "That's Jack," Liam said grimly. "It's a warning." Maya set the phone down, her jaw tight. "He wants me to back off. What happens if I don't?" "He'll escalate," Liam said. "Jack doesn't bluff." "Then let him escalate," Maya replied. "I'm not backing down." Liam shook his head, a mix of admiration and frustration. "You're stubborn, you know that." "I've been called worse," Maya said. "So, what's next?" "We need leverage," Liam said. "Jack's smart but arrogant. He's bound to have left something behind, something we can use." "And you think you can find it?" Maya asked. Liam nodded. "If I get into the garage, I can start digging. Jack's been running dirty for years. He's bound to have left evidence." "It's risky," Maya said. "So is waiting for Jack to make the next move," Liam countered. Maya considered this, then nodded. "All right, but if you're going in, we need a way to stay in contact. If something goes wrong—" "I'll call," Liam promised. "But if Jack catches on, he'll come after both of us." Maya walked him to the door, her heart heavy with unspoken fears. "Be careful, Liam. I don't trust Jack, and I barely trust you." Liam smirked faintly. "Fair enough. I'll keep you updated." As Liam rode off into the distance, Maya stood by the window, watching until his taillight disappeared. She didn't know what the next move would bring, but she knew one thing for sure. This fight was far from over. Back at the garage, Jack sat in his office watching the same video Maya had just received. A smirk played on his lips as he leaned back in his chair. "She's stubborn," he said to one of his men. "But everyone has a breaking point. Let's see how far she'll go before she cracks." Liam rode back to the garage, blending into the low hum of activity. The place buzzed with tension. Bikers moved about, their conversations hushed. Jack's grip on the crew was ironclad, but Liam sensed hesitation, cracks forming beneath the surface. Parking his bike, Liam stepped inside, nodding at familiar faces to avoid suspicion. He drifted toward the storage area, where the crew kept records and supplies. The dimly lit space was chaotic, but Liam knew where to look. At a rusted filing cabinet he crouched, his heart pounding. Flipping through folders he found it, a handwritten ledger in Jack's scrawl. As he scanned it, Liam's breath caught. The ledger detailed illegal dealings Jack had hidden even from his closest allies. Payments, names, shipments, it was all there. This was the leverage they needed. Footsteps approached. Liam slid the ledger into his jacket and stood, leaning casually against the cabinet as two bikers entered. "What are you doing back here?" one asked, suspicious. "Looking for parts," Liam replied smoothly, gesturing to scattered tools. The bikers exchanged glances but didn't press further, grabbing what they needed and leaving him alone. Liam didn't relax until he was back on his bike, the ledger pressed against his chest. As he sped away from the garage, relief mixed with fear. He had what he needed, but it painted a target on his back. At Maya's house, she paced the living room, worry etched on her face. Liam had been gone for hours, and the silence was oppressive. Her phone buzzed, a text from Liam. "I've got something. Be there soon." She exhaled, relief washing over her. When Liam arrived, the tension in the room was palpable. He handed her the ledger without a word. Maya flipped through it, her eyes widening at the scope of Jack's operations. "This is huge," she said. "If this gets out, Jack's done." "That's the idea," Liam said, slumping onto the couch. "But Jack won't let it slide." Maya nodded. "We need to get this to someone who can use it. Someone Jack can't intimidate." "Like who?" Liam asked. "Cops? Journalists? Most are scared of him." "Not everyone," Maya said firmly. "We just have to find the right person." Their conversation was interrupted by the faint roar of motorcycles in the distance. Liam stood, his body tense. Maya grabbed the bat, her pulse quickening. "They're coming," Liam said. "We need to move, now." Maya glanced at the ledger, then at Liam. "Where?" "Anywhere but here," he said. "We can't let them trap us." The roar of engines grew louder. Maya hesitated, then shoved the ledger into her bag. Liam opened the door, peeking out. The bikers were close, their voices faint but growing louder. "This way," he said, motioning for Maya to follow. Together they slipped out the back door, the sounds of the gang echoing in the night. The cold air bit at their skin as they moved quickly through the shadows, staying low and out of sight. As they disappeared into the darkness, Jack stood in his office, his phone pressed to his ear. A grim smile spread across his face. "Find them," he said, his voice low and calm. "And bring them back. Alive, if possible." The cold night air stung their faces as Maya and Liam darted through the alleys behind her house. The roar of motorcycles echoed nearby like predators closing in. Liam led the way with quick, deliberate steps. "We need to get to my bike," Liam whispered. "It's a few streets over." "What about the ledger?" Maya asked, clutching her bag tightly. "It's safer with us," Liam replied. "But Jack's not stopping. We need to stay ahead." They turned a corner, only for a biker's headlights to sweep across the alley. Liam pulled Maya into a shadowed recess. The biker slowed, scanning the area, but after a tense moment, roared off in the opposite direction. Maya exhaled. That was too close. Liam nodded, pulling her forward. They reached a small, quiet lot where his bike waited. He handed Maya a helmet and climbed on. "Get on." As the engine roared to life, Maya swung onto the seat. The sound of motorcycles drew closer, and when Liam sped off, the gang followed. The narrow streets became a maze of sharp turns as Liam pushed the bike to its limits. "They're gaining!" Maya shouted. "I know," Liam called back. "Hold on." He swerved onto a dirt path leading into the woods. The gang hesitated, but followed. The forest closed in around them, branches whipping past as the trees blurred. The roaring engines grew fainter, muffled by the dense underbrush. Finally, Liam stopped in a clearing and killed the engine. Silence blanketed them. "Why are we stopping?" Maya asked. "They won't risk the woods at night," Liam said, dismounting. "We're safe for now." Maya climbed off, her legs shaky. "What now?" Before Liam could answer, distant engines shattered the quiet. He cursed. "They're coming!" Headlights pierced the trees. Jack's men had found them. Liam stepped in front of Maya, his voice low. "Stay behind me." The bikers dismounted, their boots crunching against the forest floor. The leader, a burly man with a scar on his cheek, stepped forward. "Liam," he said coldly, "hand over the ledger and walk away." "That's not happening," Liam replied. "Tell Jack it's over. The ledger's going public." The man's face twisted in anger. "You're making a mistake." "No," Maya said, stepping forward. "Jack made the mistake when he thought fear was stronger than truth." The man lunged at her, but Liam intercepted him, throwing a punch that sent the biker staggering. Chaos erupted. Maya swung her bag at another biker while Liam fought with a desperate ferocity. It was messy and brutal, but Maya and Liam held their ground. The gang finally retreated, bloodied and cursing, disappearing into the trees. Maya dropped to her knees, clutching the ledger. Liam knelt beside her, breathing hard. "We did it," he said. "This isn't over," Maya replied, her voice steady. "Jack's still out there. But now, we have the upper hand." As dawn broke over the horizon, they stood side by side, battered but unbroken. The fight wasn't finished, but for the first time, they felt like they could win.